When you're on your own learning on the job, how do you fast track that process? Because you don't have a natural mentor situation built in. How do you handle that?
You know, it was difficult because you're right. I wanted to, you know, as Grouploves, as they were rising, I wanted to always make sure that I was staying ahead of them so they never got, you know, too big for me. And so the way I found to do that was I went on tour with them. And for a year and a half, 2 years, I all around the world went on tour with them, doing every possible job I could do. I tour managed for them, I guitar teched for them, I sold merch for them, and through that I saw how the business worked. I saw how touring worked, I saw how radio worked, because I would go to meet all the regional radio reps and go to the radio stations and meet the programmers, and then go to, I would deal with the merchandise company and the ordering, and I saw how that worked, and I would go meet all the different satellite offices in Australia, in England, in Japan, wherever it was. And I just saw how the business worked firsthand, and that's something I could never have done sitting back in an office. And you know, from a mentorship role, I would say that everyone that we work with on the Grouplove team has been an unbelievable help to me, just because I think I probably ask them more questions than anybody does.
I'm glad you said that, because you know, when we first met, one of the impressions I had of you is that, you know, you're a young guy who's enthusiastic and energetic, and you're obviously a quick learner. You don't get into the University of Penn by being dumb, you know. But experienced people, whether you're 23 or older, right, ask questions when they don't know the answer. And a lot of times young people, I find, you know, in their efforts to want to be more expert than they really are, will tend to bullshit their way through it. And that's where managers get themselves in trouble, not with just the professionals, but themselves with the band. You've managed to avoid, you have a penchant for asking questions and doing your homework. Talk about that.
I do. Well, I mean, as you said in your intro, if you don't ask, you don't get. And that's 100% true. And to this day, and especially in the very beginning, you know, when I wouldn't know the answer, I would have no way of just BSing through it, because I just didn't, I didn't know what the possible options were. And so I found that everybody who we worked with actually appreciated the questions I would ask. And I think a lot of managers probably isolate a lot of the team in a way that's detrimental to the band's success. And I found that including everybody in the decision process, and from small things to large things. I mean, just here's like a tiny example. We were playing the second or third show the band ever played at the Hotel Cafe here in LA, and it's a seated, you know, there's tables and chairs there. And we got to the venue, we saw their tables and chairs there, and they're a rock band. I said, this is not going to work. So, you know, instead of, you know, what did we do? I went to the owner, the promoter of the venue, and I said, can we move these chairs? And he's like, I don't know. I was like, what do you mean you don't know? He's like, we've never done that. And I said, how have you never done that? I said, no one's ever asked to move these chairs before. And so I said, fine, can I move these chairs myself? He said, sure. So I picked up all the chairs, all the tables, moved it outside, and turned into a, you know, crazy rock show. Yeah. And, you know, that's a very small thing. It's just, the guy said nobody's ever asked us to move these chairs and tables. And then on a large scale thing, every time the business manager will send us something, you know, their job is they lay out the facts and we make the decision. But almost every time they send something, I will write back, you know, what do you think? What's your take on it? What's your advice? And I take everything into consideration, and I think the whole team appreciates being involved in the decision process.
Yeah, you know, it's a big job, you know, breaking a band. It's a big job doing anything great in life. And the people that ask questions, the people, in my experience, that have learned how to delegate and get comfortable with that, ultimately do stay ahead of the process. And it's just that mere acknowledgement that there are things bigger than you.